Cool. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I think we can get started. I think if anyone else joins, they'll get the gist of why we're here. So first of all, for those that don't know me, my name's Jared. I'm the head of product here at Kolleno. Thank you all for coming today. I'm really excited to show you a feature that I really believe is going to revolutionize the way you guys do your financial operations. It's something that myself and the tech team have been working on diligently for the last few months, and that feature is the drag and drop workflow builder. Um, so how did we land up on this, and why are we here? So after speaking to various customers over the last 3 years, we've realized that every business has specific needs and wants, and they need a tool that can adapt with them to automate their processes. So we spent the last couple of months building out a whole new workflow feature that will replace our previous strategy feature that some of you might have used previously to automate your communication. The new feature not only automates communication, but a whole lot of manual processes within your business, such as how to handle refunds and payment chargebacks, etc. So I think without further ado, let's jump into the demo and show you what we've been working on. So I'm just going to share my screen. Um, Hopefully you can all see that in a minute. Cool. So yeah, welcome to Workflows. As you can see, it's got a whole new UI. There's new functionality. It's easier to use. It's a lot more dynamic. And I'm going to go through high level how it works, and then we'll actually jump in, build a workflow on this call and show you how it's going to automate your work. And then finally, we'll end off with what's coming in the next couple of weeks. So basically, the starting point of every workflow is a trigger. So what is a trigger? A trigger can either be a one-off event, so for example, a new customer being created or a new invoice, or it can also be for existing customers or existing invoices where they meet specific criteria and you want to put those into a bucket that you're then going to action going forward. So if we have a look over here, on the right-hand side, I've put a whole lot of conditions. So for example, where the payment status on a customer is disputes, the balance is equal to 15,000 and a strike rate is S3. Now, you can really add as many different conditions as you want. And if it's not there, just let me know, or the tech team, and we'll be able to put it together very quickly. Part of the reason we've done this new tool is that it's very fast for us to add new features. It's very scalable, grows with yourself. And as your business grows and has new needs, it's very easy to slot those in. So once you've set your trigger, you can then do something called a timing delay. Now, this could either be off the previous action or a due date. And this basically pauses the steps initiating in between. So what do I mean by that? So if we come down over here, I'm just going to jump around a little bit, and we have a look, for example, like once you've sent an SMS, create a delay for a few days, and then create a task to talk to that customer. Now, on the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a whole lot of new actions. So those are if-else statements. Something that came out of a lot of feedback from customers is that, they don't only want to put everyone into a specific bucket. So you want to do something called a branch. And what that if-else branch logic does is it allows you to put customers into different flows depending on specific criteria. So what that means, practically speaking, is that if somebody was to fall into this customer flow over here, once you get to the if-else statements, you could say, well, if the customer is above 1,000, then we want to treat them differently, say your VIP customers. And for those, maybe you want to send, less of a harshly worded email asking them to collect, versus the customers that are below 10,000, that you'd send a different type of email. Now, it's as important to know when to send communication as when you should not send communication. So what do we mean by that? So if we hop into your settings, you'll see there's a whole lot of new features within here. So if we focus in on pause a step, what that means is if somebody has sent communication to you today, for example, or yesterday, perhaps you shouldn't send them an automated communication, because at the end of the day, you don't want your customers to know that it's an automated system that's communicating to them. The whole point by using Kolleno is to have something that's personable, and that the customer realizes that they're speaking to a person at the end of the day and not just a robot. So you can customize and tailor this to your heart's content for anything from sending communication to that customer in, say, the last day, or if the customer sent communication to you in the last 2 days, that means that there won't be any automated communication going out. You can also filter on pause on steps such as a promise to pay. So for those that aren't aware, that haven't used the Kolleno system before, a promise to pay is an action that you put on an invoice that lets you track that the customer has agreed to pay in a future date. So in this case, imagine that the customer's invoice is due tomorrow. Customer sends you an email and say, "Hey Jared, I can't pay tomorrow. I can only pay in 2 weeks' time." We'll track it. We'll log it. It lands in a report for yourself. It lands on your dashboard, so you've got see that cash flow impact. And then ultimately, it means that you're not going to send any outbound communication either onto the invoices that have the promises to pay or on the customer as a whole. You can really tailor that depending on how you need. And of course, you might also want to stop communicating altogether automatically based on other criteria such as manual communication, payments received, etc. Now, if we just jump in, and I'm going to go all the way from the top of building a workflow, workflows is housed in the automation section. You'll see at the moment, we've got the strategies, templates, bulk communications, which most of you are aware of. Workflows will be replacing strategies in the coming months. If you're interested in hopping on workflows before we release it to the public in the beta phase, what I would suggest is that you reach out to your customer success representative and they'll be able to activate it for you. We've already had a number of customers that we've been testing this over the last couple of weeks, and it's really been an astounding success. So jump into workflows, click create workflow, and I'm just going to jump into one that I've just started off over here. As you can see, there's a couple of different settings over here that you can adjust. Now, the first step is to decide, do you want this workflow to run on a customer as a whole or in an invoice? The reason that you would do something like that is perhaps you want to chase each invoice separately, or you want to chase all the invoices together on the customer. Likewise, if it's, say, an object created trigger, so that's for new events, such as a new customer being created, a new invoice being created, those are other considerations to take in. So that's your starting point, just to decide which trigger you want to use. So what we would recommend is for like a collections process that you would use a database trigger, because this is something that's going to run consistently, when object created trigger is a one-off. So that would be like a one-off trigger would be used in the situation of, say, you've got a new customer that's just joined your, that you're doing business with. You would, when the customer gets created, you can send an automated email out to them asking them to set up the direct debits. So it's ready for those one-time events that you need. Now, for a collection, because I know that's the most common one that most of you use today and why you use Kolleno, you would select customer, select database trigger. At this point, I can go choose now what filter I want. So for example, balance due is greater than, and let's just say, give it some random numbers over there. I'm going to add some more conditions. So customer chasing doesn't equal paused. And perhaps then we will also go by the status. So let's just go over here. 1 second. Payment status is one of dispute. Now, where it gets really smart, at that stage, we've looked at all the conditions on the customer level, but you could target specific invoices. So why would you want to do that? So let's just say that you want to put customers that have a dispute on any of their invoices into a specific flow, but only target the invoices that are, say, dispute and overdue. So not the ones that are due. You would click over here, target specific invoices. Again, filter by that specific status that you want. So we'll over here, so let's just go with, maybe installments, disputes, bad debt, and click save. Now, what that's going to do is it's only going to target very specific invoices on the customer. So you can get like very granular. Next, you could go and do a time delay. So let's just say, basically 1 day after that invoice is due, we now want to send an email. So I'm going to go to sending an email and I will choose my template. So this is something that you all should be familiar with. You go use your existing Kolleno templates that you've created. Also excited because I'm the product person, always letting you know what's coming soon, that we will also be releasing a whole new template builder in the next 2 to 3 weeks, which should be a lot easier to use. So select your templates. You can then configure, what time you want to send that email, who do you want to CC in that email, BCC, etc. From then on, perhaps what I want to do is an if-else statement. So from that, I would say that if my balance overdue is greater than 1000. So here we just go 1000. And I want to now also look for a specific strategy that that customer could be in, because perhaps, they might be in a strategy such as late payments that we want to target here too. So that's really, grouping anything on the customer. So I've said, if you reach that criteria, what I want to do is I'm actually going to create a task to go speak to that person. So call VIP customers. Let's make it a calling task, and then I'll assign it to myself. Obviously, which day do we want that to appear? And after how many days, once this appears, do we want to set that due date? So I want to say, I want to complete it in 5 days, and then I hit save. So what that means is that the task will appear within 5 days. The due date would appear within 5 days of that task being created. And you can go as granular as you want, and really make multiple if-else statements all along the way over here. So I'm just going to quickly select some random ones, and it will just carry on branching out over here. So really, keep on going as much as you need, and the world is your oyster over there. So like I've said, we've got SMSs, emails, phone calls, tasks, and then coming soon in the next week, I'm going to show you something that's currently in development. We'll also be able to do a whole lot of new features. So that's, dealing with chargeback events, such as, when the customer has already been charged for an invoice, but the customer's now gone and disputed that invoice with the credit card company, or when the payment charge setup has failed. You'll also get those type of notifications, and you can create tasks and assign them to specific people within your workflow. So as you can see, we've got quite a lot of new things coming here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Thank you everyone for attending, and any questions, please do shout. Thanks very much, everyone.